Otis Sanford. I'm a journalism professor here at the university. I hold the Chair of Excellence in Journalism. I have over 40 years of print journalism experience at 4 newspapers, 4 metropolitan newspapers, the longest of which is at the Commercial Appeal here in Memphis. And I also do daily television commentary. Well, I think it was effective in that it got people to talking. Even the ones who opposed it, they were part of the discussion about why he was doing it. And so the people who understood and approved of what he was doing were able to join that conversation by saying that, he's trying to bring awareness to some social injustices, police brutality, issues that affect primarily minority members of society, especially young African American men. And so he wanted to try to affect change that way by starting a discussion. I thought it was pretty effective in doing that, even though it was controversial. Well, it's hard to separate the two. Obviously, I followed Kaepernick. I wasn't a San Francisco fan, but obviously he was playing extremely well a few years ago, and even took his team, certainly into the playoffs, and I think he went to the Super Bowl. So he was a great quarterback. Now, he did have some problems and became less effective about 2 or 3 years ago. So you have to look at his performance. But I do think that you can't ignore the possibility and the probability here that he was being penalized for his political views, and a lot of owners saw him as too controversial that would create backlash with some of their fans. They just didn't want the distraction. So I do think that there was part of that kept him from landing with another team after he left the 49ers. I think it's totally unfair. This is just another form of free speech. People have a right to free speech in this country, last time I checked. And he has not done anything that was out of the ordinary from a lot of other athletes. For example, if you go back to 1968, when you had Olympic athletes who raised their fist when the national anthem was playing to bring attention to civil rights and social injustice. You had people like Jackie Robinson spoke out against racial injustice. You had Muhammad Ali. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. A lot of times what people don't understand, they like to criticize. And I don't think that a lot of people who criticized him were willing to understand what it is he was trying to do. He was not being disruptive. He just took a knee. People take knees all the time. And so I think that he was being penalized. I think it was unfair. He has done a lot more in communities than a lot of people who criticized him have done. And so I do think that there was a lot of prejudice that was involved in this. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I don't know how how well he's kept himself in shape. I would hope that if he still has some more football left in him, that he should be playing in the NFL, if only in a backup capacity. I really wish that there was some team that was willing to give him a chance. I've been following football since the early 1960s, and I've seen a lot of football teams that had a lot worse quarterbacks than him, even starting on the team, let alone being a backup. So I would certainly hope with 32 teams in the NFL that one out of 32 teams should be willing to give him a tryout this summer, and maybe he'll be back in the NFL. It seems to be another one of those fly-by-night ventures. I just don't necessarily see it. I mean, even the NFL is losing a little of its luster, primarily because of the injury situation, the concussion issue, the danger that some people see in football, and to have another league that I've seen a lot of leagues come and go in my time. The World Football League, the USFL, the Extreme Football, whatever you want to call it. I'm just not. I'm just not into this. I'm an NFL fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'll put that out there, and I just don't see this as going anywhere. Well, I mean, certainly he brings a lot of interest. I haven't seen him do a lot of TV work, but again, I mean, there are a lot of former football players are doing, and there are a lot of outlets to do that with all of the TV stations and networks that have sports programming, and including radio. So I wouldn't put it past him. I think he probably could do it. He's a well-spoken young man, and if that's the way he wants to go, I think he may land there if that's what he wants to do. I really, Tyler, I really would hope that people try to understand issues before they jump on the critical bandwagons here. Colin Kaepernick had a right to express himself the way he did. He should not have become a national political punching bag, and he did. Now, there are a lot of people you can blame for that. People in political life all the way up to the very top have used this young man and this young man's stance for political to score political points, to denigrate him, to throw water on what he was trying to do, which I saw as fairly noble. And I would just hope that people would do a lot more understanding and a lot less judgmental criticism going forward.